My name is Jim Derrick, and I am the father of 3 boys. I am also a Franklin citizen of 28 years and am the president of the SAFE Coalition. And thank you very, very much for coming out this evening. Tonight's program will end promptly at 9 o'clock, and we'll do everything we can to stay on schedule. If you haven't done so already, please visit our information tables located just outside the door, where you can pick up a lot of information on some of the support groups that we have in town, as well as some of the foundations that we have that are doing some very, very critical work in the area of substance abuse prevention and other areas of concern. Also, there is an email sign-up list which will be circulated, and Alex Kinney and I think Rita Gracie are somewhere available here. They are going to be passing around an email sign-up list. If you're not already receiving emails from Representative Jeffrey Roy's office, then I urge you to do so. It's great information, and it keeps you up to date on what we're doing. And finally, before I begin, I just ask everybody, including myself, to silence our cell phones. So thank you very much. So once again, we are the SAFE Coalition. As many of you may be aware, we were formed back in February of this year. We've had a lot of things happening behind the scenes, and I wanted to highlight some of those things. But before I do, I want to thank some people that have done incredible work in setting up and beginning this coalition, and then in sustaining that. Some of those folks are here, others can't be here tonight, but I'd like to recognize them all. First of all, and foremost, a huge thank you to Representative Jeffrey Roy. Jeff Roy has done incredible work, spent an inordinate amount of time, weekends, Sundays. I can't tell you the amount of time he personally invested in getting this coalition off the ground. He would love to be here tonight. He is in Boston in session right now, and he's going to try to make it out at the end of this meeting. Chris is here from his office, and I thank him very much. Secondly, I'd like to thank Representative John Fernandez, represents the towns of Milford, Mendon, and Hopedale. John partnered with us recently and has also put in a tremendous amount of work and brings a tremendous amount of unique expertise to the table. I'd also like to thank Superintendent Maureen Sabolinsky. She not only has made this venue available for us tonight, and her staff is here, but she has also been a tremendous part of our advisory board. And I cannot tell you how committed she is to seeing that the students in the Franklin schools and the youth that are coming out of the Franklin schools stay and remain healthy. And I just want to thank her very, very, very much. Thanks also to the Franklin Town Council. Bob DeLorco is on our board of directors. Bob, if you're here, if you just say hello. Councilor Judith Monpfeffer, Town Administrator Jeff Nutting, Police Chief Emergent, Fire Chief McCraraher, and countless others that have helped us along our way. And finally, I'd like to thank the programming committee. They are Rita Gracie, Karen Portamunch, Katie Truitt, Meg Giacomazzi, who cannot be here tonight, unfortunately, because she's ill, Kathy Ketchel, Mike Gervais, and finally, Amy Leon. They have done tremendous work and continue to do tremendous work for our program. And finally, and believe me, last but not least, I would really like to applaud the efforts of one student in particular, and that is Ben Waters. Ben, could you stand up, please? Ben Waters deserves a huge round of applause. He certainly gets it from me and the rest of the coalition board. Ben has been on our board of directors from day one, and he has seen to it as a personal mission to get other students at Franklin High School to join him in what has now become the SAFE Coalition's Student Advisory Board. I cannot tell you how important that is. And I see another member, 2 other members sitting with him right now. Would you please stand up? Because without student involvement and buy-in, it's just a bunch of, well, in my case, 55-year-old gray-haired guys talking to each other about drugs and alcohol and prevention. And while that may help to some extent, we really need these students to help instruct us and inform us as to what's going to be helpful. So thank you guys so very, very much. They did a lot of work in this program. I'm just going to briefly briefly share with you a little history of the coalition, and then we're going to launch right into the program. The SAFE Coalition, as I said before, was formed last February in direct response to the growing opioid epidemic that hit Franklin particularly hard. After a series of overdose fatalities, Jeff Roy, some members of the town council, Jen Knight was here, had decided that enough was enough, and a group of them met to form what is now the coalition. We all knew many of these families. Many of these overdose victims were our friends, our neighbors' friends, our neighbors' children, or people that we coached or saw around town. It was very, very sad and very shocking to lose so many. The mission of the coalition was to bring a group of concerned citizens and important stakeholders from a wide variety of sectors of the community together to help form a response to this growing epidemic. 2 public forums were held, one in June and the other in August, and combined we had over 450 people attend. It was clear to us that the community of Franklin, was eager to engage in a solution to this problem. With the addition of Representative Fernandez, the coalition now represents the following towns. We represent Franklin, Medway, Milford, Hopedale, and Mendon. SAFE brings together key community sectors to collaborate, including law enforcement, educators, healthcare professionals, counselors, clergy, civic organizations, public officials, business leaders, media, students, people in long-term recovery, and citizens. Today, our coalition has a board of directors of 11, and in addition has a committed volunteer board of advisors of 30. I'm deeply, deeply indebted to all of them. In the interest of time, I'm not going to introduce them all. I urge you to go to our website, safema.com. safecoalitionma.com, sorry. We also have a Facebook page and a Twitter account as well, which you can link to right off of there, and I urge you to follow us. Allow me once again just to read our mission statement. Our mission statement: SAFE is a coalition of community partners who have come together to provide support, education, treatment options, and coping mechanisms for those affected by substance abuse disorder. We do so by empowering those affected, including their families, with the tools necessary to succeed on their journey to recovery. We understand that while I can't, we can. Today, the disease of substance abuse disorder knows no boundaries. It simply cuts across all socioeconomic boundaries. Fueled in part by the prescription of opiate painkillers prescribed for things like wisdom teeth extraction or sports injuries, this epidemic is off and running. And we recognize that this is a public health crisis. We also recognize that it demands our full attention and that the best minds are working on solutions to provide strategies to end this epidemic. Here are just some brief highlights of what we've accomplished so far. We've established our board of directors. We've developed a website and a social media platform. We presented 2 public forums, which were well attended. We had a panel discussion on one of those forums presented by Harvard professor Dr. Kelly on the neurobiology of addiction. We've engaged the recovery community to speak with both parents, high school and middle school students about prevention. We've established 3 support groups for parents: Learn to Cope, which happens on Monday evenings, Healing Hearts, which happens Thursday evenings at 7 o'clock, and Community Hope, which happens in Milford at 7 o'clock at the Metro West Medical Center. We've established a high school board of advisors led by Ben Waters. And we established a regional police chief roundtable, which is led by our police liaison, Mike Gervais. Mike, if you're here, thank you very, very much. And that roundtable is really to get chiefs of police together to start talking about what their role is in helping the public not arrest their way out of the problem, but help the public access treatment. Initiatives and programs that we plan for the future. We plan a hidden in plain sight exhibit, which will be a model bedroom which will come to Franklin where parents can tour it to look for the warning signs of drug abuse. We have a speaker series including Chris Herron, which is coming, Chris Herron's coming on February 29th. We are producing a 3-part video, the last of which will be a solutions video, which will be designed to come on a thumb drive and be handed out by police officers to those that are in crisis or have recently overdosed. That will give them resources that they can use to get treatment. We are working right now on a navigator, a substance abuse navigator hotline, which will be a 24/7 hotline, which will be manned by crisis intervention people that will help people get into treatment. As a lot of us know that have children or loved ones that have substance abuse problems, they don't always present themselves for treatment at 8 o'clock on Monday morning. A lot of times it may be at midnight, so we want to try to solve that problem. We are looking into providing Narcan training and Narcan for the at-risk population. And we're collaborating with the Metro West Coalition Council to work on public policy issues to help reduce barriers to treatment and hopefully to someday legislate real health insurance parity for substance abuse disorder. And finally, we have a partnership with the Miss and Matt Foundation, which Katie Truitt is here somewhere. Miss and Matt Foundation is named in honor of her son Matthew, who lost his battle with heroin addiction on November 3rd of 2012. Katie and her daughter Megan have established a foundation called Miss and Matt Foundation, and importantly, that foundation's main goal is to build a sober house in this community, within this area, to provide much needed beds for those that need treatment. And I wish Megan was here. Unfortunately, she's terribly ill tonight, so I'm sorry that she's not here. So finally, tonight's program, Signs, Symptoms, and Solutions. We'll feature about a 30-minute long video. Immediately after that, we will have 2 panels, plenty of time for audience participation and discussions. And it's our hope that you leave this program with being better prepared to recognize the signs of substance abuse that arm you with important intervention techniques should you find that your loved one is abusing drugs. I can tell you personally, as a father of somebody who has a substance abuse problem, I wish that I'd been in the audience to hear something like this 6 or 7 years ago. So I am very glad that this is happening now. And finally, I'm going to introduce our next moderator, and that's Amy Leone. Amy Leone is an independent consultant and a licensed mental health counselor based in the greater Milford area. She's been a licensed mental health counselor since 2000 and been a substance abuse prevention supervisor for Wayside Youth and Family Support Network since 2005. She is the owner of Community Impacting, as well as the chair of the Juvenile Advocacy Group, adjunct professor at Framingham State University, Graduate School of Counseling Psychology. Amy is the founder and chair of the Juvenile Advocacy Group, as I just said, and she works with the towns of Milford, Bellingham, Mendon, Upton, and Hopedale, bringing them together to prevent underage substance abuse. She's also the recipient of the 2015 Department of Public Health Ounce of Prevention Award. I'd like to introduce to you a friend, Amy Leone.
All right, so we're having a few technical difficulties, but that's all right. We can make it work. So tonight I just wanted to start this presentation as a way to have a conversation. And we all know, being in this crowd, being parents, that almost every community around the nation, within the state, they're experimenting, that kids are experimenting with prescription drugs. And many of them are not prescribed to them. They're using them to either get high or to really change their mood. And so what we're going to do today is we're going to show you a video that was actually, it's 32 minutes. It was filmed in Massachusetts, in a town that was heavily impacted by the prescription drug epidemic. And members of the community who had lost loved ones from this prescription drug and heroin use were part of the ones who are actually in this film and helped to make it.
It's not for laws I've broken, that bitter tears I've wept, but solemn vows I've spoken, and promises unkept. It's not for sins committed, my heart is full of rue, but gentle acts omitted, kind deeds I did not do. I have outlived the blindness, the selfishness of youth, the canker of unkindness, the cruelty of truth, the searing hurt of rudeness. By mercies, great and small, I've come to reckon goodness, the greatest gift of all. Let us be helpful ever to those who are in need, and each new day endeavor to do some gentle deed. For faults beyond our grieving, what kindliness atone, on earth by love achieving a heaven of our own. Isaac,
Yes.
did you have any thoughts?
On?
The poem I just finished reading?
I liked it. Yeah, I liked it.
You did?
Yeah.
And what about it exactly did you like?
The subtext.
Which was?
Living with regret.
Robert William Service was the poet. We'll be studying him all next week. Everyone grab a book on your way out. Have a good weekend and be safe.
Just make sure they're at like 8 o'clock.
Okay.
All right? Bring some friends.
Okay.
I'll catch you.
Bye.
Yo, Isaac,
Hey.
you're coming tonight, right?
I don't know. I haven't asked my mom yet. And I doubt she'll even let me go.
Bro, this is gonna be the biggest party of our lives, okay? You're not missing it.
I know, but what am I supposed to say to her?
I don't know.
Just tell her you're staying at my house. She calls my mom will lie for us.
There you go.
Come on, grow a pair, will ya? You know I get when I'm wasted. You wouldn't want to miss that, would you?
All right, I'll be there.
My man. And hey, don't forget to bring something, all right?
I don't know if I have anything, and if I do, how do I know it's the good stuff?
Anything with a label that reads may cause drowsiness or don't drink alcohol beverages, all right?
You okay?
Yeah, I'm fine.
I'll pick you up at 8.
Okay.
Isaac, dinner's ready.
I'll be right there.
What's wrong with you? Why are you so quiet?
Can I go over to Corey's later to study?
You want to study on a Friday night?
Yeah, well, we have a big math test coming up. She wanted to know if I could help her study.
You two been spending a lot of time together lately. Is it anything serious?
No, just friends.
Just friends, huh?
Yeah, just friends. She has a thing for Connor, so.
God, okay.
Okay. I can go?
You can go. You gotta be home by 11:30.
12 and you got a deal.
In your dreams.
John! Hey, what's up? Where's Connor?
Oh, he's in the other room. What's up, bud?
I'll be right back.
Thanks.
We made it.
Sorry, man. Told you I would.
Good man.
You have something for us?
What do you got, bro?
Oh, yeah.
Better be the good stuff.
Well, my mom's.
You stole from your mom.
There you go.
Ladies
Man.
first.
Oh, hello. Don't mind if I do? You're up, brother. Get those down. Get those down.
I got no
All right, people. Let's get this party started. Woo!
We won't know who we are. It's just our guilty pleasures. So show me you a rider. Show me this shit is real. Show me there's no lava. Let me see how it feels. I know you feel it. Nah. Smoke shots. What?
It's just our guilty pleasures. Smoke shots.
What's
up, man?
How you doing, man?
I think I'm still a little messed up.
That party was epic.
It really was.
Yeah, how's John doing? Is he all right?
Dude, screw him. He's an amateur. Why would you take that many pills if you couldn't handle it? He's lucky to get my ass in trouble for going out like that.
I talked to his sister this morning. He's fine. It wasn't the drugs. John has seizures all the time.
Still say he's an amateur. Look, I'll catch up with you guys later, all right?
You want to skip?
Screw it.
Can't stand that girl. She's such a snob.
Megan? She's like the quietest girl in school. What is that?
My mom and my doctor say they're supposed to help me focus better in school. It's all BS.
So why do you take them?
Because they give me a buzz. And I need a buzz to get through this day. You know that. Here, take one.
What are you two doing here?
It's our study hall.
Isaac, have you got your physical done yet?
No, coach, I haven't.
What are you waiting on? Basketball season starts in 2 weeks. You can't play unless you get your physical.
Okay, coach, I'll make sure to tell my mom to schedule me one.
Make sure. I don't want to have to bench my starting point guard. Get to class.
Yes, sir. Let's go.
Hey, Mom.
Hi. Dinner's gonna be ready soon.
I'm starving.
How was school?
It was good. I think I aced my math test.
Oh, that's great. What are you doing?
Hungry.
I just said dinner's gonna be ready. Isaac. Go wash up.
Okay.
Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm fine. It's had a long day. Oh, Coach Glenn says that I need to get a physical in order to join the team, so can you schedule me one, please?
Yeah, I already did. It's tomorrow morning.
Oh, good. Thanks. This is so good.
Thank you.
When can I go to an adult doctor?
When you're an adult.
This is so
What do you have for me? Isaac? How have you been?
pretty good.
Miss Diaz, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you.
Just a routine physical?
Yeah.
All right, well, you'll be in and out of here in no time. You can go inside, take a seat. I'll be right there. Okay?
Thanks.
I don't need you to come, Mom.
Okay. Dr. Edwards, can I have a word?
Oh, what is it?
It's Isaac. His behavior lately it's been odd. He's not acting like himself.
Thanks for the ride, Corey.
What are you doing tonight?
Nothing planned.
Call me if you want to hang out.
Hey, do you have any more of those pills you gave me the other day?
Always. That's good?
Perfect, fine. Thank you, I'll call you.
See ya.
Hello?
Miss Diaz? It's Dr. Edwards. How are you?
I'm a nervous wreck.
I'm looking at Isaac's test results. I have bad news. Isaac tested positive for opiates and marijuana.
Okay. Are you sure? Because I heard those tests can come back inaccurate at times.
I'm afraid not, Miss Diaz. We use the best lab in the country. If we need Miss Diaz, we can assist you with resources to help Isaac find the help he needs before it progresses. And in my experience, it usually always progresses.
I would like that, thank you.
Okay, I'll have Laura send over some information ASAP. Okay?
Okay, doctor, thank you.
Hi. What's wrong? Mom, what's wrong?
I had Dr. Edwards drug test you.
You what?
Yeah. And your test results came back positive.
You know that's a mistake, Mom.
How long? How long you been doing them? How long? I said how long? How long, Isaac? I said how long? What did I do wrong?
Don't say that, Mom.
What did I do wrong?
You didn't do anything.
I must have done something wrong, Isaac. I tried so hard. I tried so hard with you. Oh my God, I'm so scared. I don't recognize you. Where did you get them? Where did you get them? Please talk to me. Are Connor and Corey doing them too? Is that what's going on? Are your friends doing them too? This is a nice place. Huh? Everything's gonna be okay.
Why are you doing this to me? I'm not an addict. It was one time.
You could have died, Isaac. I'm not gonna let that happen to you.
Stop being dramatic, Mom.
Isaac, are you ready?
I love you.
Love you too, Mom.
Love you.
Robert William Service was a British-Canadian poet and writer. He was often called the Bard of the Yukon. He's best known for his poem, The Shooting of Dan McGraw, which we will be reviewing today in class. Please open up your books to page 70.
All right, so as everybody can see, we have a new addition today. This is Isaac. I want you guys to, why don't we go around and everybody can introduce themselves and,
I'm June. I started drinking when I was about 12, 13. Just wrong group of friends.
My name's Adam. I started drinking about 2 years ago. I'm 18 now. And,
Coke for me. Just older brother friends had it. Did it. Now I'm just angry without it.
They said I could be a model. I just need this.
Yeah, I'm Mark, an alcoholic. It's about my 4th time being in detox.
I was 14. I saw how my mom acted after she took her medication, and I wanted to see what it was like.
My name's Sarah, and I began to have an alcohol problem when I was 10.
listen, I just really want to thank you guys for your honesty and making Isaac feel welcome. You guys got about an hour before your next group, so go take a break. Hold on, Isaac. How you feeling?
Like I don't belong here and this is a waste of time?
Maybe. But maybe you do.
And you heard their stories. I went to a party once and got high. Big deal. Who doesn't do that my age?
A lot of people. It's beautiful, isn't it?
bunch of dead trees.
Actually, they're not dead. They're very much alive. They're what's known as deciduous trees. They shed their leaves. It's like a defense mechanism against harsh conditions. They have these broad, thin leaves that are, really susceptible to damage. So they just let them go. But when conditions improve, they come back, healthier and stronger than before. Not much different than you.
What?
I'll see you in an hour.
Hi, can I help you?
Hi, I'm Karina Diaz, Isaac's mother. I was just hoping you had a second.
Oh, actually, I don't. I have dinner plans soon, so.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Well, it'll only take a second. It's actually about Connor.
You said you were Isaac's mother, right?
That's right.
Oh, God, what a shame. My Connor told me all about you having to put your boy in a rehab. At least there he won't be able to influence other kids to do drugs. Actually, I told my son he can't hang around with yours any longer. I'm sorry.
How dare you?
How dare I?
I came here to let you know your son is also doing drugs, and as a concerned parent, I just thought you should know.
No, you listen to me. Don't you come around here trying to point the finger at other people. Honey, just because your son is a screw-up, God, it doesn't mean that mine is.
I'm not pointing my finger at anyone. I'm handling my son and our issues. But I wanted to talk to you mother to mother so we could see what's going on with our kids.
Excuse me. You know nothing of my son. I'd appreciate if you'd leave now. Miss Diaz, have a good day. I really hope you find a way how to handle that boy. Bye.
What was that?
Nobody. You ready to go? Because I am starving.
You tell me when to leave.
Okay.
Connor!
Honey, come on, he's never gonna hear you. He probably has his headphones on. So let's go. Time to go.
Yeah, but dude, I'm the illest point guard you'll ever see.
Guys?
Really? Yeah. You think I'm good? My boy Connor will break your ankles, pal. Nah. Yeah.
Hey.
What's up, pal?
What's up, buddy? It's nice to see you smiling. How you feeling?
A little cold, but I'll live.
Better? Yeah? Listen, don't take this personally, okay? But I do not want to see you back here. You understand me? Huh?
You and me both.
Excuse me, Bob. I need Isaac to come with me for a minute.
Sure. But why?
You have a visitor.
Oh.
Dave, make sure you finish that.
Mom? What happened? What happened? What's wrong? What's wrong? Mom, what's wrong?
Honey, Connor was found dead yesterday.
What?
I'm so sorry.
What? What do you mean?
He overdosed, and his mom found him in his room. I'm so sorry. Connor's gone. He's gone, sweetheart. I'm so sorry.
Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit.
Amen.
The grace of our Lord Jesus Christ, the love of God, and the communion of the Holy Spirit be with you all. In the waters of baptism, Connor died with Christ and rose with him to new life. May he now share with him eternal glory. Now invite Isaac to come up and share some thoughts with us.
Connor was my classmate, my best friend. It was Connor who, on my very first day of school, convinced me to try out for the basketball team. He said I needed to put my lanky arms to good use. You know, a lot of times when we're young, we think we're invincible. We're not.
In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit.
Amen. Amen. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thanks for coming, buddy.
Miss Diaz, thank you both so much for coming to see us. We're so sorry for your loss. Take good care of this boy. Our lives are so fragile and precious. We as parents, we need to do everything, that we can for.
If there's anything we can do, please don't hesitate to ask.
That day, I should have listened to you. That day you came by, I should have listened. But instead, I went to dinner. While my son was alone dying in his room. It's all right. If only. I'm sorry. Thank you guys for coming. Take care of him.
If only I knew that all your words were true, that everything would be alright, my heart would find it to the light. If only I knew to put aside my pride, that I had let the Lord decide, held his hand and watched him guide. If only only left with this painful emptiness, I fell on my knees to confess everything good lost in darkness. I failed to realize that I was blessed. So I wait for that day when I can say that I'm sorry. If only true, that everything would be alright. My heart would find it to the light. If only I knew to put aside my pride, that I had let the Lord decide, held his hand and watched him guide. If only, if only. All my hope now fades and dies away. I struggle to find the words to say. All the promises I failed to keep, I try to trust that heaven's at your feet. So I wait for that day when I can say that I'm sorry. If only I knew that all your words were true, that everything would be alright. My heart would find it to the light. If only I knew to put aside my pride, that I had let the Lord decide. I held his hand and watched him guide. If only, if only, yeah. If only, if only.
When will I see you again? All day long I'm thinking of you. So crazy I ain't sleeping, begging and pleading. I was wrong. I'll take all the blame for this. Feelings never played a part. He meant nothing to me, swayed my precarious heart. Love can be so blind, love can be so blind. Couldn't see through the smoke, and I swallow my pride. I tried. Slice of the devil's pie. Swear I never meant to do you harm. I was only longing to be in your arms. Slice of the devil's pie. Yearning for your touch. So I pretended he was you, but it hurt too much. You came in that night. It's not what it looked like. Not what it looked like. Call me tongue-tied, twisted, regret every minute. I was wrong. I'm apologetic. I'm repentant. You resented, but I swear you are everything to me. Like stones in my pocket, carry the weight just to feel the pain I caused you, boy. Love can be so blind. Love can be so blind.
I'm Katie Truitt. I'm the parent of 3 children, 3 adult children. 2 of my children suffer from the disease of heroin addiction. I have a daughter who's 33, and she's been in recovery for about a year now. And Matt's mom from the Messinat Foundation, my son, at the age of 27, overdosed from a heroin overdose. He died. Still tough to say. I myself consider myself in recovery from this disease. I started my own recovery program about 7 years ago. My husband is a recovering alcoholic as well. So the disease of addiction is my family. I'm not ashamed to sit here and tell you that I have children that suffer from this disease, nor am I ashamed of my husband. The recovery, my message to you is families in recovery are just as important as the people who are suffering from the disease to be in recovery as well. Part of our mission with the Messinat Foundation is to help remove the stigma around this disease as well. If you all knew my son, you'd understand what I was talking about. He's just like your son or daughter. So thank you.
Hi, my name is Kathy Getchell. This is my son Derek, who's in recovery for about July 4th, 2013. I also have another son, Wade, who unfortunately still struggles with the disease of addiction. I have been going to programs off and on for, I'd say, 4 years now. I've done Al-Anon, Maranon, and finally found my Lunch Cope meetings that have really helped me so much. Before this, I was too ashamed to talk about it. Besides being devastated that my 2 kids were addicts, I hid from everybody, but I'm not ashamed to talk about it anymore. I'm here to help people go through what I've gone through. And I have to tell you, this boy right here inspired me to find my recovery once he found his.
Thanks. My name's Derek Getchell. I'm a recovering heroin addict. Excuse me, that video got me going a little bit emotionally. I live a high quality life nowadays, and I've been kind of placed in a position of like neutrality where I don't spend my life like focusing on not doing drugs, and I'm not consumed with the thought of doing them anymore. And watching that, it takes you back to ground zero, and it's not an easy place to be. I've been on every end of that video. I've been the addict. My father died from heroin addiction in 2009, and you know, I've been the family member. I've been the addict, trying to change things, and the blame. Like you heard that mother talking about right away. If you're going through that, my heart's with you. There is help. There is a solution. It doesn't always end in death, but it's just a reality of it. You know, I was a low bottom heroin addict. That's basically my story. What I mean by low bottom is I didn't stop until I lost everything. I was homeless. I was broke. The way I used heroin was I shot it until I didn't have any money left. And just very fortunate to be up here. And
I'm Jeff. I'm a drug addict and an alcoholic. I grew up in a nice town not too far from here, from a real good family. Addiction and alcoholism is pretty prominent in my family. I remember growing up saying that I was never going to be one of them, and I am. I got everything I wanted for Christmas. I have 2 unbelievable parents who fortunately do not suffer from this disease of addiction or alcoholism, and they did absolutely everything they could to hide me from the disease, but still it kind of crept into my life. I'm fortunate to be up here on stage today, and you know, I'm hopeful that we can make a difference. So, thank you.
Thank you, guys. So I'm going to ask this series of questions to both the recovering addicts and to the parents to help to give some light to the solution. Many times we talk about the drug addiction is the solution to a bigger problem. And so we are going to talk a little bit about the underlying problems and some of the things that we read in the newspaper about hitting rock bottom and just some of the things that you hear in recovery talk and things like that and what has helped everybody through this. So Jeff, I'll start with you. You had once said to me that a good message of your sobriety is how long you can sit with yourself. To both Jeff and Derek, I guess. What does that mean to each of you in recovery to be still, and how were you able to achieve that? I'm a therapist, remember?
Well, for an individual like me, being still is virtually impossible. In the big books of Alcoholics Anonymous, they talk about alcoholism, untreated alcoholism as being, restless, irritable, and discontent. And when I wasn't using drugs and alcohol, that's how I was. I needed something to always be consuming my mind, taking my mind off of myself, and I could not just sit with myself. Until I was challenged with that when I was at a recovery program, to just sit with myself for 10 minutes. And for that short amount of time, I couldn't do it. I thought my head was going to pop off my shoulders. And so today, I've learned some tools through help and through the Big Book of AA on how to be able to sit with myself and be okay with that.
So what was it exactly? How to sit with self and find kind of peace of mind?
Yeah. How much is that part of your recovery?
That's the end goal of recovery, is to find a way to be contented in your sobriety. My problem in terms of getting sober is I wanted to get sober for a long time, and I genuinely tried to stop on my own. But my problem is when I put it down, like he had alluded to, I was restless, irritable, and discontent, and I hated how I felt so much that it looked like a good idea to either, drink again or drug again. And that was my experience probably 40, 50 times. The journey to find peace of mind took me like 4 years. I was sober for 8 months, one time 10 months. And it's been a little over 2.5 years now. But, I think why it's so hard for some of us is because, opiates in general give you this euphoric sensation. And I can remember my first time doing a Percocet 30, and I was sitting alone in my living room, and I did it, and all of a sudden my living room turned into like the best party in the world, and I was elevated to a place that I had never been. I'm not glorifying drug use, I'm just sharing honestly what how powerful the prescription medication was. And it took me to a really good place, what I perceived to be a good place. And when I would stop using, that was my new normal. When you take that away from an alcoholic or a drug addict, it's like you go from the top of the mountain and then you're more depressed than you ever have been. Like life, you have this feeling of impending doom. Like he said, restless, irritable, and discontent, and your mind lies to you that it's never going to get better. It's just like this dark cloud. And over time, through some practices of meditation and some guidance, when I was in rehab and people were kind of coaching me through it step by step, and I was around other people and supported by other people and loved by other people until I was able to love myself, peace of mind slowly returned. And I'll finish with this. For a long time, I thought drugs and alcohol were my problem. And then after being sober for 8 months, I had a lot of unmanageability in my life. I was still full of a lot of fear, a lot of anxiety. I was still very selfish. I was very resentful. And these are things that I was taught that led me back to drink. Because a normal person wouldn't run themselves into being homeless, all right, and shoot heroin until they didn't have any money left time and time and time again, and then 8 months later think it's a good idea to pick up a bag of dope. Like that normal thinking, I didn't have that, because when I was sober, I felt so irritable and so miserable that I looked at the drug as a solution. I believed the lie that I could just do it once, And that's the biggest lie an addict can ever tell themselves is, hey, I can just do it one more time, and it'll be fun, and I'll be able to control it and enjoy it. And those days are over if you're an addict. For me, I chased that first high for like 4 or 5 years. I kept chasing that contented feeling that it gave me at the beginning, and it's never going to go back to that. Those glory days of using are over for me. I'll never be able to control it and enjoy it again. And finding peace of mind for me was like the opposite of opiates. Opiates took me to the top of the mountain right away, and when I was in early recovery, I hated my life. But slowly but surely, peace of mind started to creep back in, day by day, little by little. And then all of a sudden you had more peace of mind than not, and you weren't full of fear as much. And now, having peace of mind is the normal now. You know, I had to check my pulse one time. I was like, am I even alive anymore? When my mind quieted down. It was like this right around 1 year. But it didn't come easy, and if you're out there in early recovery and you're struggling, like it's not, to me, it didn't happen right away.
Thank you. So there's many talks. There was a recent article in the Boston Globe, I think yesterday or the day before, and it was the end of rock bottom was the piece. And I think there's a link on the Facebook page in regards to that. It was actually in the Sunday's Globe. And so many people, as I'm doing counseling and talking with families who their children are struggling, you know, many people talk about how individuals need to hit rock bottom before they can actually get better. And I have many different thoughts of that, but to the two of you, what does it mean? What does rock bottom mean to each of you? And, you know, we'd love to hear your thoughts about that in particular.
Well, for me, and I've had the opportunity to work with a whole bunch of guys, I'm not particularly a fan of the phrase rock bottom, because as it was said to me, you hit rock bottom when you're done swimming. And for some individuals, it's a lot different than others. I mean, I've worked with guys that have been in prison, have lost everything, have been homeless, have overdosed, and then they still go back out because they're still thinking that they can do it their way, that they're in control of the disease and that it's not going to get them. For other guys, they get into some trouble at home or at work or whatnot, and that's enough for them to seek out some help. For me, like his story, it took a lot of pain for me to hit my rock bottom, which meant that I just threw my hands up in the air and basically said, what I'm doing, the choices I'm making with my recovery are not working, so maybe I should listen to somebody else. And it wasn't until then when I threw my hands up and did the things that I didn't want to do, go to a sober house. I mean, I owned my own home, and it was recommended that I went to a sober house, and I thought I was above that. So I was doing it my way. And it wasn't until I finally threw my hands up after relapse and said, you know what, my way's not working. My way gets me back into detox. So I'm going to listen and take suggestions from others. You know, one of the suggestions in early recovery that I was told was, you have to be completely honest, and I had a hard time doing that. I had a hard time being honest with myself. And it wasn't until I finally got to that sober house where I said, you know what, I'm going to do exactly what I'm told instead of what my mind is telling me to do. So I think for each individual, that varies. And it can be frustrating at times because our loved ones want us to get better sometimes than we want to. And they're at their rock bottom, and sometimes we're not. So I guess to answer your question, it varies upon person. And, you know, for me, I think a lot of pain and a lot of loss.
Hitting bottom, I think the one thing I've learned over like the last 4 or 5 years is like if I don't work program or recovery, I'm going to keep digging and my bottom's going to keep getting lower and lower. They say like the 3 places addicts end up are like jails, death, and institutions. You either end up in jail, you end up in an insane asylum, which is what rehabs are, because we're insane because we can't stop using it on our own, or you end up in jail. I didn't make it to jail. I never got caught for anything I did. It's luck of the draw, but you know, bottom is for me. It was explained to me. It's an emotional play. It's not something that occurs. It's like an internal process. It's a feeling. It's not so much a destination. And I hit plenty of bottoms, or at least what I thought they were bottoms. But I kept going and going and going. And like he said, like pain finally, like the pain of using became greater than the pain I used to feel when I put down the alcohol and the drugs. But hitting bottom doesn't keep me clean and sober. I think that's important. Like for me, I'm going to be, this is my cycle of use. I'm going to use until I got nothing left, and I finally waved the white flag, and then I got like a 2 or 3 month process where, like he alluded to, I'm in a treatment center, people are telling me how to live, people are telling me why I'm using and what's going to prevent me from using again, and then that can bring about a change in thinking where you no longer want to go back to the alcohol and drugs. But like I can say, like with pretty assurance, that watching like loved ones have sobriety and then go back out, and just people you observe while you're recovered. Like if I don't continue to work a program, I can hit a new bottom. Jail. I'm totally eligible to go to jail. I'm totally eligible to use again. I'm totally eligible to die from this disease. But logically, you would think like, hey, he just lost his girlfriend. Like if you weren't an addict, you'd be like, the kid just lost his job. His parents just kicked him out. He's got no money left. He just totaled his car, stole the laptop. I'm trying to think of all the stuff I did. In and out of detoxes all the time. Like, what's he doing? Why doesn't he stop? And from a logical place, you would think once that stuff happens, like, why doesn't the kid just stop? That's what a lot of people say. Like, look at this, he keeps shooting heroin. Like, what's he doing? And it's an internal place where you're just like, I can't keep doing this. And if I keep doing this, I'm going to die. And it's not always an easy decision to make, I got to be honest with you. Every time I got clean and sober, it was like 50-50. I can be homeless and be a street junkie, or I can and give a shot to get clean. So it's not an easy decision to make. That's it.
And I think it's important to also realize that the journey of somebody's recovery is very different for every person. Where they were talking about rock bottom was different for each and every one of them. Everybody's journey to recovery is different. It could be a sober house, it could be AA, it could be an NA meeting, it could be detox, it could be counseling, it could be yoga, meditation. Everybody has a different path of recovery, and we can't dictate to them what it is that is their path of recovery.
Can I just add one thing real quick?
Yeah.
And the reason the reason it's not an easy decision to make is because these opiates are so powerful. They rewire the brain. And any logical thought that a normal person would have that's not addicted, it's so hard to make because you're so addicted. And like he was saying earlier, like for me, I was on the verge of being homeless. I had nothing left, and I'm arguing with my mother. Like, I don't need treatment. Are you kidding me? Like, I can do this on my own. And I really believed it. I really thought I could beat heroin addiction on my own, and I didn't need help. I didn't need meetings. I didn't need a support system. And that's the insanity of the disease. Is half the people that have it, and I was one of them for a long time, don't even know they have it. They're still trying to solve the problem on their own, because they view it as a moral issue. They feel weak. They feel like less than. And it's just a hard, if you're a real alcoholic and addict and you have a serious problem, it's just a hard place to get to that point to decide where you need help. And I would never would have got there unless they kicked me. I was forced out of my house, and it was either be a homeless street junkie in the streets of Boston or go get treatment. And that's when I found out, I was like, I'll think about treatment. I'll give it a shot. But that's how insane I was. That's how much of a grip the drugs had on us.
So as many of us in this audience, we're all parents. And so as a parent, our children, they teach us what that meaning of unconditional love is. And we, as they get older, we have a hard time really to lose that image of that dependent baby that we need to do everything for. And so when they start to grow and they learn to ride a bike, or they, are doing this next thing, our job is to let them fall and pick them back up, and let them fall and let them learn to pick themselves back up. But when you have a loved one who is struggling with this disease, it is so hard to let them fall and pick themselves back up. We want to take them and take care of them and hold them and solve their problems and make them better. So to Kathy and Katie, when your children were struggling with the disease of addiction, I'm sure, through your support groups, you have so many families and parents that don't allow their children to fall and pick themselves back up. And so what are your experiences, and then some advice for parents of what does that even mean? How do you do that as a parent?
I do the short well, I think as a parent, it is so hard to see someone that you love absolutely unconditionally hurt themselves. That's the last thing you want to see your child do is hurt themselves. It's completely, at least for me, it was completely different for my husband and his disease than it was for my children and their disease. My children are my children, they're a part of me. And I think, as what was just said earlier, society tells me that I'm supposed to be able to fix every problem my child encounters. And what this disease has taught me is that I can't. I had to learn very much like an addict, actually, how truly powerless I am over this disease. It took me a long, long, long time to realize that I am absolutely powerless over this, and I'm absolutely powerless over what my children choose to do. Saying that, though, what I've learned in my own experience was, am I really able to love my children enough to allow them to have their own journey, to allow them to have their own, make their own choices in life? And the answer today is yes. The answer before was always no. I suffer from wanting to control, and I wanted their lives to look the way I wanted it to look. You know, I had my daughter's wedding planned out from, by the time she was 5. You know, I knew who she was going to marry, what the wedding was going to look like, what she was going to do for a job. You know, I don't think it's unusual for a lot of us parents to want those things for our kids. And when they're going down this road that's not looking that way, well, it was my job to get her back on the road that I wanted her on. And what I did by doing that was essentially sent a really kind of a cruel message, you know, and that was that you're not good enough. You know, if you're not on the path I've designed for you, then you're not good enough. And that was really, really sad, and that was really hard for me to understand that. I also learned that by doing everything that I did. And my daughter was in and out of rehabs, probably on and off for 9 years, 8 or 9 years. You read about it, I've done it as a parent. But what I've learned is that the message I was sending by doing and doing and giving money and trying to fix and trying to stop this addiction, I was telling people that you can't do it. I have to do it. You can't do it. You're not good enough to be able to do it. And you know, I don't think there's a more cruel thing as a parent that I could have done, to be honest with you. So I've learned a lot. Sadly, you know, I've learned most of it since the loss of my son in the last 3 years. And I wish I had known about things like Learn to Cope. I wish I had known one other parent, just one, that felt the same way I did. I didn't. I thought I was alone. I thought I had to do this alone. Much like people who suffer with this disease, I told myself I had to do this alone. Today, I know I can't do this alone. I cannot do this alone. I belong to Learn to Cope as well. I started in Al-Anon. I also belong to a 12-step program myself. And that's my life. And it's going to be my life for the rest of my life, because this disease has, it's my family, and it will always be there. And, you know, I think in my travels, I do go to a lot of different meetings. I do go to a lot of meetings, and I think it's really, really sad. One of the biggest things I do hear from parents is, I don't want to kick my kid out. I don't want to kick my kid out. And I think, yeah, what parent wants to kick their kid out, especially when they're sick and suffering, right? But you're not kicking your kid out when they're sick and suffering. You're giving your child a choice. You know, I'll stand there and I will help you in your recovery, but I'm not going to watch you kill yourself. I'm not going to make it easy for you to use drugs in my home, or I'm not going to give you money to make it easy for you to continue this disease, continue with this disease. I'd rather feed the recovery and not the disease. And that's what I've learned. The rock bottom part, I don't know I could sit here and tell you story after story where I thought each one of my loved ones had hit a rock bottom, and then it got lower and lower. So I don't know anyone's rock bottom. I can only tell you what my rock bottom was, and it was exactly the way that was just described. I just couldn't do it anymore. I could not live the way I was living anymore. So what I literally did was I got out of the way. I got out of the way, I got myself into recovery, I let people go, I let people have their own experience. I had my experience, and that's what I continue to do today, too. So thank you.
I just want to tell you guys that I met Katie, how long ago? A while ago, about a year ago at our Framingham Learn to Code meeting. This woman inspires me beyond any person that I know. She's a wonderful person. She's so strong, and she has such a good heart. You know how much I love you. So for me, for not allowing my kids to fall was more out of fear. I was so afraid. Derek had mentioned that his dad passed away in 2009. I was petrified my kids were gonna die. I was so scared. I did a lot of crazy stuff. It took me a very, very long time to get myself help, to get the strength enough to help my kids by having them leave the house, not be around me. Everything I did was out of fear. I don't know how, it took, I'm not making sense tonight, I'm sorry. So nervous. No, so the fear is what kept me from allowing my kids to have their own journey. The journey that I want for both of my kids is right here. But also it was about me taking care of me, getting educated on addiction, finally awareness, going to meetings. I can't tell you how many meetings that I go to that have helped me. I also did Al-Anon, Naranon, the Learn to Cope. It was the fear of losing my kids. I still can get back there now. I still can get back there, not so much. I don't worry so much about this one, but my younger son I worry about all the time, and I try not to go there. And when I do, I know it's okay, because I keep going to programs and I keep getting educated and I keep learning more and more about the disease and accepting it as a disease, that I'm going to be okay, and it's going to pass eventually. So,
thank you.
First question we received on an email was, how can we as parents how can we engage parents to model effective behaviors that limit access and use of substances?
Well, I think one of the things that we saw in the movie that we were watching, when the parent came to talk with the other parent, I noticed that she came to the door holding a drink. And I think that that's one of the things that we as adults need to think about. What are we modeling for our children? And I know that sometimes we have run into experiences where, there may be parents that allow their kids to have a party at home because they're going to take the keys away, and so kids are drinking, but they're not driving, so everyone's safe. And so we're kind of enabling kids to do those kinds of things. So some of the things that I think we need to do is work with parents around education on how can we be effective role models for our kids, and what kinds of things, what kinds of messages are we giving kids in terms of our own use of alcohol in the home. We also will be talking a little bit about some programming, proactive programming that we will be kind of looking at for parents as we move along. So if we can get to that and get to one of your other questions, that would be great. I don't know if anyone else wants to add anything to that.
Just a quick little thing. I was at the middle school level in Franklin for 17 years, and I've been at Franklin High School now for about 55 days, and it's been quite an experience over 55 days. But one of the things I experienced most recently was we call in any senior who's at risk of failing. They have a course that they're not doing well in. We want to have upfront conversations about, hey, we want to support you in your path to graduation and walking across that stage. And this one student's story really stuck with me, where he talked about his parents. And his parents had noticed this drastic decline in attitude, affect, grades, started really paying attention to the students and his peers, and they swooped in and they took away one of his sports. He joked with us, he had a wonderful sense of humor about the whole situation, because he understood the love, he understood where they were coming from, and he said that school was the only time he was seeing the light of day. And they really, really had jumped on to some of the warning signals and warning signs. And I thought it was just a very, very telling story, a very impressive story that I experienced right here in this building.
And you know, one of the other things I can kind of speak to from my own experience as a parent, and I've heard other parents say this as well, I mean, it's really important to know where your kids are going. As a mom, when my kids were in high school, they didn't know I did this, but I would call parents at the house where they allegedly were going to find out and double check to make sure that that's where they were going and that an adult was going to be present. And I also told my kids all the time, you know, if you're ever in a situation, because we know they're going to come across these situations, social situations that they need to learn how to navigate, where kids will be drinking or smoking pot or doing whatever they're doing, and it's very hard for an adolescent to find a way out. And sometimes because they have to save face with their peers. And so I would always say, make me the bad guy. You can tell them my mother is going to kill me if I do this, so I've got to go home. And I would say, just call us. We will always pick you up if you're in a situation that you need to get out of. So kind of giving them an out and an excuse and making yourself the excuse takes it off of them.
Thank you very much. Another question came in, and I'm interested as educators and health educators in particular. What do you think that the community at large can do to bring more resources in for both children that are using and possibly have developed a problem, and/or parents that are fearful that their children have problems?
One of the things that we've done, the Health Education Department, is reach out to the Franklin Police Department and have them come into our classes. And I'm sure you think of a traditional officer coming into a classroom and kind of giving just a speech and a lecture. And over the last 3 days, we've had those guys come in, and it's been kind of the complete opposite. It's been you know, a sit down just like this with people having casual conversation. The questions that the kids ask have been phenomenal, and you know, they want to learn more. And our response has been, these are the people that deal with it every single day of their lives. Why not turn to them to get those answers? We of course provide them with the facts and information related to marijuana use, alcohol use, etc. But to have such a great resource in the community that the students didn't realize they have has helped us out a lot as educators.
Our school resource officers as well are a wonderful resource, and we work very closely with them at all school levels, but particularly at the middle and the high school level. And they do get to know who the kids are, and will be available a lot of times to talk with kids. We also work with the probation, the local probation department, and we recently were reassigned a new probation officer who we know and have worked with in the past, and really look forward to having her join in with meetings as we talk about kids that we're concerned about and at risk, and to help us bring some, perhaps some substance abuse counseling into the school.
Thank you. Yeah, it's you mentioned the school resource officer, and I know I've had a lot of experience with the Franklin Police Departments in being involved with the coalition, and it's clear to me they're there to help. They're not there to wrest their way out of this problem. If anyone doubts that for a minute, please talk to me, because it's just not the case. They're doing wonderful work. But with respect to the school resource officer, do students have a private place to meet with that officer if they need to?
Yes, absolutely. We have, really at any time, provided students with places and offices and wings, and they can come down and find a spot to meet with any really adult who's in the building who they feel connected to, and to have the school resource officers and the connections that are happening through our health and wellness program and things like that, and just their presence in our building is very beneficial. beneficial, but at any time we can set anything up that they can sit and talk, and it does happen.
Terrific, terrific. Along those lines, could you just give us a thumbnail sketch of what the schools are doing in terms of education about drugs and alcohol, what the curriculum looks like?
Okay, so Kristen will speak specifically to the health and wellness curriculum regarding substance abuse, but I want to kind of give you a little overview of several proactive approaches that we as a school district have been involved with for several years, and are a huge part of the educational component for all of our students. I know that at the first SAFE meeting, the first big SAFE meeting when Superintendent Sabalinski was here, she mentioned the development of social emotional learning curriculum, and that's something as assistant superintendent that I've been overseeing. And we're in our third year of implementation of developing curriculum really around social emotional learning standards. And we've engaged all of our school counselors and school psychologists, and they're focused on developing curriculum in a very similar manner as we've developed curriculum around English language arts or math. What we have found is that some of the skills like dealing with anxiety, recognizing it and developing coping skills, finding ways to manage social conflicts and interactions with peers and adults. These are not skills that come naturally, and we in fact have got to explicitly teach our kids right from kindergarten all the way up to grade 12. And so we have been using some research-based programs such as the zones of regulation and social thinking, possible selves at the middle school level, and we've been developing our own lessons and unit plans. And our teachers at the elementary level, probably 99% of them have been trained in either Open Circle or Responsive Classroom, which are programs that help kids at a very young age learn about how we're going to interact with one another and deal with stress and anxiety. At the middle and high school level, we've been implementing the Signs of Suicide program in grades 7 and 9, and that's a program that deals with, helps kids recognize it's a screening tool really around signs of suicide or depression. And we all know that all of these things, anxiety, depression, and so forth, sometimes lead to using substances because kids are self-medicating. I think, I don't know, Kristen, did you want to talk a little bit about that as well?
Yeah, so I'll speak specifically to the K through 12 health and physical education program. We do have a comprehensive program that we continuously look at and examine to make sure that we're meeting the needs of our students through the Metro West survey data, as well as looking at best practices. You know, I attend different partnership meetings and we partner with other directors of health and PE in the area and see what other people are finding and looking for what works so that we're not reinventing the wheel, but we're actually meeting the needs of our students. So we are very fortunate to have a comprehensive program in Franklin. Students in the elementary, middle, and high school level receive both health and physical education, which I'm very proud of. We base all of our learning objectives off of the Massachusetts curriculum standards, and they're all age appropriate for what students should be learning. And it is really a multi-layered approach that we take. We, at the elementary level, start talking with our students kindergarten through second grade. We talk about medication, the difference between medication and candy, and not taking something if you're not sure about it, and just safe practices in the home. And in grades 3 through 5, we really start talking about the effects of drugs. I mean, students in those grades, they watch TV, they see all of these things in the media, so it is appropriate for us to talk about what it is, what it does to your body, some of the legality things and dangers and refusal skills. Start talking young with how to refuse, because some of our students do get exposed to drugs and alcohol at a very young age. In the middle school level, we continue to build, so we start to get into more depth with these subjects and these topics, start talking more about prescription, non-prescription drugs, opiates, refusal skills, dangers, and risks, continuing to build those skills and talk about scenarios. It's one of those things that we really need to have repeat messages and continuously reinforce and discuss, because the media and other things in our society unfortunately give the opposite And in our wellness program at the high school, Ms. Winslow and Mr. Master already spoke to it, but we continue to build. We try to build partnerships. We try to do everything that we can to get that multifaceted approach to address the needs of our students. So in 9th grade, we're really seeing through the Metro West survey, they did that alcohol and marijuana are the common things that students are using, along with smokeless tobacco. We see a little spike there. So those are the major drugs that we address in our program. And then we move on to Wellness 10. We start to do more about all the different drugs and the drug classifications and just go deeper into some of the things that we hadn't really discussed at a really deep level. Students do a lot of research. And we also, part of our program, like Mike already spoke to, we try to bring the Franklin Police, and we've brought in different programs like New Beginnings, Bill Phillips. We're partnering with the Safe Coalition to bring in Chris Herron. So we're always looking for things that we can do to meet the needs of our students. SAD does a lot of prevention work. Next week, we're actually starting a winter tailgate, which is a substance-free event where we're going to offer free pizza and free admission to the boys' basketball game as kind of our winter kickoff. So we're trying to do things that our students want to do, so we ask them for input. And they're at the age where we want to do what they want to do, because if we don't engage them, they're not going to come and we're not going to make a difference. So we are hoping that this might be the beginning of a series of substance-free, exciting events that we can have for students. We're going to have music, we'll bring out the table tennis, we'll have bagel, we're going to just kind of do music and games and all that kind of stuff, and then take a trip to, basically from the cafeteria to the gym as a group to watch the game. So trying to engage students wherever they're at and what they want to do and just be positive. So it's basically a review.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Do you want to talk about the faculty involvement piece?
The faculty was asked during Professional Development Day if anybody had interest in helping with the drug issue at Franklin High School, and I was told over the loudspeaker by Principal White in the middle of the day. And I think, Mr. Perry can talk to it, but we were kind of overwhelmed about the amount of people who came down to help. We had over 70 staff in the library talking about what we conceived as a drug problem in Franklin High School. There have been some recent events where students had been showing up under the influence of alcohol or marijuana or other drugs, and we wanted to react. And from that meeting, we created 3 subcommittees, parent and community engagement, where some faculty who belong to the community of Franklin have come together to try to figure out what's going on in the community and where people can go to get more resources. One of those turned out to be the Franklin Police Department. They have come into our health education classes. Student engagement, that is a group that has come together and gone to conferences to try to find people who would come into the school and speak to our students. And last was faculty engagement and education. And the idea there is to educate our staff on what to look for in our students. So morning signs that go a little bit further than kind of mandated stuff that we do earlier in the year, and to touch upon those a little bit further.
Thank you. I neglected to mention the other students here tonight, and I hope I pronounce your names right. Julia White, Hannah Cormier, Nicole Walsh, John Salzio, is he here? I don't see him. And Andrew Donald, Peter Cohn, and Andrew Bill Signor. Sorry, mispronounced that. You get it. Great representatives of just what you're talking about, creating a culture. If we can create a culture that getting wasted and going out and getting drunk is a good idea, which we did a good job of when I was a kid. Why can't we reverse that tide? And I really applaud you for doing that. And I also applaud you for paying attention to the mental health, as Maureen Sobolinski had mentioned in the previous meeting. I know many in the recovery community are quick to tell me the drugs aren't the problem, they're the solution. And so I really applaud you. And Sally, did you have something you wanted me to circle back around to?
I think you had asked a question about the parent involvement piece or training piece. And I know that, and I think Amy mentioned it earlier, there was a group of folks from the school district, about 10 people, including Superintendent Sobolinski and a couple of school committee members, some administrative assistant. Michael, did you go as well? The hidden in plain the hidden in plain sight training. And so that is something that they came back and they were like, whoa, because they were looking at some of the ways that kids are hiding things right in plain sight in their bedrooms and in their homes. And so that's a training that we will help participate in so that parents can be educated about what to look for in your own homes, right under your noses.
Right, and thank you for that. And that's something that the Safe Coalition is bringing along. And thank you for providing all of those folks to be tour guides. That will be coming to the Franklin Fire Station headquarters, and that will be likely in the month of March. So we'll certainly keep you apprised of when that date is. So now, are there any questions of anybody on the panel that the audience would like to ask? There's 2 microphones. If you wouldn't mind just stepping up and giving us your first name and firing away. Thank you.
Good evening, I'm Gail Sherman from Franklin. And to the first panel, first of all, I want to congratulate you on your sensitive and brave statements tonight. It was very impactful for me as a former health provider. I've got 2 questions, one for the 2 fellows and one for the 2 mothers. The questions to the gentlemen are, did you find in your recovery and the tools that helped you succeed that you had to get away from a certain peer situation and other users? And was that the majority of the peers that you were hanging out with then, and how difficult was that for you? And for the mothers, I imagine, like you said, just as a mother, a nurturing mother, you want to be there. You don't want to think about kicking your kids out of the house. But when you're in a family that has full addictions, including one parent or both parents, it must be so much harder to be able to do that because you're dealing with your own addictions. And I would imagine, I haven't been in that position before, but I would imagine you have to deal with your own addictions first, right? Before you can do what's right for the children that are addicted. Thank you.
Okay, so to answer the question about getting away from peers, my experience, my story was several relapses in and out, trying to do things my way. And, I realized at the end that I only had to change one thing, and that was everything. And that was a hard thing for me to come to grips to, but I had to change everything. And to get away from some of those peers that I was with, well, yeah, that was one of the things I had to do. What I realized was when I lost my home, those friends weren't there to help me move out. When I was bankrupt or had no money, those friends, those peers weren't there to lend me money. When I moved into a sober house, those were the guys that were helping me to move my stuff from location to location. And I had to basically change everything. I'm not a big cliche guy, but they say if you hang around a barber shop long enough, you're going to get a haircut. And, I would always go back to the barber shop. I would always go back to the places where I felt comfortable. And I don't want to give them up. And sometimes the things that you want to do the least in recovery are the most important things to do. I hope that answers your question.
My experience, I didn't really use with any of my friends. I was very secretive in my using, and they talk about like a lot of people before they try recovery, they attempt a geographical cure. They try to change their environment. They try to point their finger. It was that person. It's because I'm living here. And I can go anywhere in the world, and if I still want to use, I'm going to make new friends, or I'm just going to go find a new dealer. For me, it wasn't. At the beginning, there was a lot of people we used with. It actually started off. I can remember the place. It was you'd go into the kid's house, we'd hang out, you'd pull the mirror out, there were straws, pills, crush them up, snort them, hide this stuff. 6 months later, the straws were always out on the table and there was no more hiding it. 5 more months, it was needles. 5 more months after that, it was, hey, dude just beat me for $900. All good buddies growing up in high school, that was a progression. At the end, I didn't really have any friends. I wasn't usually with friends, so I mean, if you're blaming other people, I think potentially you could be on the wrong path. You know, and if you're really done, I don't think you're going to be hanging out with that crowd anyways.
For me, my addiction was my children. This disease makes you crazy. I'm not ashamed to share that I had a breakdown. And until I had that breakdown and really started to focus on me again, because you lose sight of yourself. There's no more you when you're in the active use of addiction, especially with 2 of them, or more, it doesn't matter, one can make you crazy. So my addiction became my children. And until I took care of myself and started getting educated and helping myself, that's when I started turning around and getting into my recovery.
That's actually what I was going to say too. You know, this is a family disease, and the way that I've been affected by this, I actually consider myself an addict as well because I'm addicted to the addicts in my life. I truly am. And my life became unmanageable very quickly. And so until I got into recovery, things didn't change. Things changed when I got into recovery. I'd like to say my life got easier, but it got much worse. But my reaction to that life, thank God, was better. I don't know if that makes sense or not. But because of my own recovery, I react differently to the tragedies that this disease brings about. And I also just wanted to touch base real quick about, I think there was a question about parents and what we can do as role models and so forth for our children. I just wanted to add a little bit to that about, you know, sometimes I think parents try to be cool too. And it's okay if, you know, my son or daughter at 15 or 16 has a beer or goes out and gets drunk and, well, you know, all kids do that. You know what? It's not right. It's not okay. I made the mistake. I did that. I was that parent. My son, I'll never forget, he was in the 8th grade. I found marijuana on him. And of course, I freaked out. But his dad and I spoke, and we kind of thought, well, it must be a little phase he's going through. It's not. It's not a phase, and it's not okay. And I think it's a really strong message we as parents need to say from the get-go. This is not okay. It's not cool. It's not a little phase. Your child goes off to college. Oh, I know they're going to party and try big ways. Send them with a message of, you don't have to party. You don't have to do what the other kids do. I really think it's so important at such a young age. I mean, I have a friend who, her daughter was going to a bunch of graduation parties. She was 16 at the time. And my friends tell me, oh, I know she's going to drink, but it's okay because I'll pick her up. It's not okay. Send that message. It's not okay. Not every kid does it, and it's not okay. So
how do you send the message?
I'm sorry?
How do you send the message?
You say it.
The question was, how do you send that message?
I'm sorry?
Yeah, but is that enough though? I mean,
you continue
say
it.
it, but do you kick them out? Do you drug test them? What do you do?
You mean if you have an active drug addict?
A child who's smoking pot.
I'm sorry, you have a child that's smoking marijuana. Yeah. It's in your home? In my home, drugs are not allowed to be used. I mean, it's a boundary I have. It's drugs and alcohol are not allowed to be used in my home. If you choose to do that, you have to go somewhere else. I don't know how you
How do you know that they're not doing it? Do you drug test them every week?
Well, I've never had to use a drug test, but I know some parents that do that. They set boundaries and they do drug testing. And just like what we're trying to show here, the signs and symptoms, what Amy was talking about, you know, the difference in the personality changes, the way your child may look, the way your child personality change was huge in my family. I saw that really strong.
I might just add that there are a lot of resources in this room tonight, and I would encourage anybody that has these types of questions to please talk to any of us, Amy, any of the panel, because there's a lot of information here and everybody's happy to share. It's a very, very difficult, how to talk to children about it. Yes, please, Amy.
I mean, I have those questions all the time. What do we say when our kids smoking pot? What do we do?
Excuse me, can you use the microphone, please?
Sorry.
Thank you.
I'm not tall enough.
So what's up? Tell my story really quick.
Okay.
Yeah.
Here.
So he actually admitted to me that he was still in marijuana and being doing it since he was a freshman. And I really had no idea he was a very good liar. And so we took a trip to the pediatrician, and he came with me, and we talked to the pediatrician, and the pediatrician thought that he was self-medicating for anxiety. And he had been on antidepressants, but he had gone off. So basically the decision was that we were going to monitor him. And it was not stated that he would stop. The pediatrician said that he said he didn't approve, but he said that he would rather see him just take a couple of hits to self-medicate rather than going to get high with his friends. Okay.
So to do it alone?
Yes. Right. Well, he doesn't want to see him go and get high to do it for like fun. And my son has agreed to do drug tests, so I can be sure that he's not doing anything else. But I don't know how to do that. I don't know where to get that resource or.
Oh, the drug testing?
Yeah, other drugs other than THC.
So one of the things is you can go and you can buy drug tests at CVS.
Do they test for something other than THC?
You can have them tested for something else.
Excuse me. You can come to a Allergic Hope meeting, I have them, or I could meet you somewhere and give you, they're much cheaper than CVS.
What do they test?
12 different drugs, 12 panel drug tests.
Is this a viable situation?
But I think the other part of this is that if he is, you have to have it level checked. Because there's a certain level of THC. If you're smoking every single day, your THC level is going to be higher.
Well, what I'm mostly concerned about right now is that I don't want him to do anything else.
Does he want to?
He absolutely says that he does not want to do anything else. He also isn't in the greatest environment at this, he works at college and, you know, I guess they're everybody.
Well, and I would also ask him, do you allow him to smoke in the house?
No.
And when it gets to that point, I mean, I think a big focus of it is you have to have respect for us. These are our rules. You cannot go out back and smoke on the back deck because you're not allowed to smoke in the room. This is about respect.
Is that allowing him to, that's allowing him to do it though? And I feel so strange being in that situation.
Guys, I'm not a proponent of high school kids smoking weed, but I'm just going to say, I think there needs to be a huge distinction between opiate painkillers and marijuana. I mean, this is like total opposite ends of the spectrum. I know plenty of people that smoke weed that don't end up sticking a needle in their arm, and I know plenty of people that were way smarter than me that smoked a ton of weed and they have great jobs, they're married by now and kids, and I think it's something you monitor as a parent. And the other end, what they had alluded to earlier, is the powerlessness. If your kid starts going down this road, there's not a whole hell of a lot you can do to stop it. You don't need to enable it and help them hit their bottom sooner, but if someone's a real deal alcoholic and addict, they're going to have to go through their own journey. And, I mean, this is one end of the spectrum, and the other, we're talking about weed and, opiate awareness and opiate abuse.
Thank you for your question. In the interest of time, I'm just going to thank you. And please, Learn to Cope is an anonymous meeting. It meets at the Unitarian Universalist Church on, Pleasant Street in Franklin Monday evenings. Sorry, Chestnut Street, thank you. I've only been here for 28 years. Chestnut Street. Please feel free to stay afterwards and ask any questions. I have one last question that was asked over email, and that was what the coalition is doing about healthcare legislation to try to come up with some parity for, not some parity, but real parity in the insurance marketplace. I'm really glad somebody asked that question. That's a passion of mine. It's a passion of most of the people on our coalition. It's certainly a passion of Representative Royce and Representative John Fernandez. We are very, very lucky to have both representatives, state representatives on our board working with us. I have been to several conferences on this issue. We are planning on engaging Patrick Kennedy, former Congressman Kennedy, who is very hot on this issue. He was behind the Mental Health Parity Act some years ago. And, recently I was at a governor's conference, and I almost jumped over the balcony when someone announced that insurance parity had been achieved, that 14 days of treatment was now allowed. Well, Derek, is 14 days enough? No, I think it's not. 14 days doesn't even get you out of the starting blocks. That would be like me coming in with lymphoma and my oncologist telling me, you know what, Jim, you got 30 days. Good luck. It's crazy. So we are today where we were with mental health parity some years ago with addiction parity, and we're really hoping to get that through. We've got 28 other coalitions, and we're developing a platform. We hope to bring that through to the legislature and get something done on that. Do we have another question? Thank you.
Hi, I want to thank the panel for your time and efforts. I am a parent in Franklin, and I have a son who I would categorize at risk. He's in the elementary school, and I have really been fighting the Franklin public school system to get him help in the emotional and social aspect. And I heard you refer to that you're developing curriculum. So I would like to hear when it's actually going to be implemented and what parents can do to get the school system to step up to the plate in terms of addressing prevention instead of reaction. How can we have prevention and identifying the kids who are at risk, who suffer from anxiety, who are using illicit drugs to cope? Because I've really had to fight to get my son some help from Franklin. So, thank you.
Well, I'm sorry to hear about your experiences. We'd be happy to chat about that with you afterwards. We are developing and implementing social emotional learning curriculum. That is one of the things that we've been, and it's not something that happens overnight. We are developing curriculum across grade levels from K to 12. So it's not, we are in the implementation phase as well. At the elementary level, the groups are working with specific grade levels at each school. And then they're going to be able to, so if say at one school they're working on the K curriculum, at the other school they're working on the grade 1 curriculum and so forth, then they can trade and exchange information about the unit plans and the lessons that they're providing instruction in. Additionally, we have other groups that we didn't discuss. We have a district-wide school wellness advisory council. And that group is focusing on wellness, in terms of social, emotional, physical well-being, and nutrition. And that involves administrators, teachers, Kristen and Mike are on that as well. We have school committee members, community members, the Y. And we're looking at the whole, looking at the whole child in terms of wellness. Having physical activities before and after school, breakfast programs, all those kinds of things that promote wellness of kids. Additionally, we have a student success team, which is a district-wide team. And we talk about kids at risk, K to 12. We have, again, we have department and our resource officers to also help provide support in getting kids the assistance that they need.
Thank you. What I hear you saying, though, so correct me if I'm wrong, is it's not a full-up program, that you're still studying it and developing curriculum. I hear that it's spottily implemented in some of the schools. It's spotty implementation. I don't hear you saying that there's across-the-board single.
We have a consultant that's been working with us for the last 3 years who I just met with yesterday, in fact, and was talking about how we are miles ahead of other districts that she works in terms of developing this stuff. And we do work closely with our parents. It's not all about the school. We are learning that kids do need to be explicitly taught. Skills that most of the adults in this room were able to learn because you were out playing and interacting with kids and learning how to deal with social conflict. Our kids are using more, devices, and they're communicating in different ways than we did. And so they're not necessarily learning how to resolve conflict. And our kids do have to navigate through some challenging situations.
Okay.
Thank you.
I just don't hear, from what I understand in the school that my son attends, is adjustment counselors are very inaccessible. And so if a student needs to speak with an adjustment counselor, not that they're going to want to, they're not going to ask to speak to an adjustment counselor, but even if they do, there's no availability. That is the experience I've had and am having. Okay?
And again, we have to talk with you about your personal concern after that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much, and thank you for being here, all of the panel. I really appreciate it, for the courage of your stories, Katie, Kathy, Derek, Jeff, for the Franklin School support and ongoing involvement with the coalition. We are partners, they're critical partners of what we're doing, and we really appreciate you being here. I just want to wrap up by saying one thing. I'm sorry, Alex. In the interest of time, I'm just going to wrap up. Oh, thank you. There's an email sign-up list that's going to be going around. If you're not currently getting emails from Representative Jeff Roy, please put your name down. That will keep you up to date on what's going on in the SAFE Coalition.
If you could just raise your hand, I'll come right over.
Terrific. Thank you, Alex. And I also want to urge anybody that would like to be involved with the coalition, go to our website, email me. There's an email link at the bottom. I'll be happy to engage you in conversation and see how we can plug in and get you involved. We are a coalition of volunteers only. We are going to embark on a large fundraising campaign for sustainability very shortly. We need a lot of hands on deck. We've got 41 currently. We need 141. So I would ask for your help. It's tremendously rewarding work. You get to work with wonderful people like this, and it's certainly looking out for the most valuable asset we have, and that's our children and our loved ones. So again, I want to thank everybody for attending tonight. I want to thank our panelists. I want to particularly thank Amy Leone and the programming committee for putting on a great evening, and we'll see you next time. Thanks.
This program was made possible by your Franklin friends and neighbors. Good folks just like you. Thanks for supporting Franklin TV. And thanks for watching.